In many cases, a term meaning cause or effect or result is given in the topic itself. For example, there might be this statement: modernization is leading to destruction of the natural environment. In this case, you will need to think of examples as discussed above. Often you will be given more details in the question itself. Here is an example. At present we rely on oil for most of our energy needs. However, oil is a fossil fuel and causes air pollution, and it will eventually run out. Nuclear energy is the only practical and clean source of energy for the world. Do you agree? Here you are given two causes and two effects for oil. A. Burning of fossil fuel causes air pollution, and B. Fossil fuels are finite, and as a result there will be none left one day. So you already have two negative effects to think about. Pollution and lack of energy. Now you must consider the consequences of using nuclear energy. The positive consequences are already implied. It does not cause air pollution and it will not run out. But are there other negative consequences? Obviously, we would all be using it. So, what are they? Once you have thought of these, you will have plenty to write about. That does not mean that you have to oppose the question. You can list the benefits of nuclear energy just mentioned, and you can then identify the negative consequences and explain that these can be solved, or that they are not as serious as the negative consequences of using oil. Remember, it is your choice whether you support or oppose the statement, totally or partly. But even if you support it, you should not ignore the problems. Apart from anything else, you would not have very much to write about if you ignore the problems on both sides. Remember that whatever effects or consequences you decide to write about, they must be relevant, of the right level of generalization, and ranked according to how significant they are. Task 14. Think of as many negative consequences of using nuclear energy as you can. Comparisons. The IELTS handbook asks you to be able to compare and contrast evidence, opinions, and implications. In fact, if you think about it, you will see that evaluation is a kind of comparison, or that comparison and contrast is a kind of evaluation. When you evaluate something, as we said before, you are comparing the situation as it is with an ideal situation. At the same time, when you are comparing or contrasting two things, you are evaluating them against some other set of criteria. For example, in the above topic, we are asked to compare oil and atomic energy as sources of energy for our use. To do that, we must have a set of standards or criteria to evaluate them against. What could these be? Look at this analysis. A perfect source of energy would fulfill the following criteria. A. Be cheap to produce. B. Be plentiful. C. Be easy to use. D. Be clean to use. E. Be safe to use. F. Never run out. Now, if we want to compare oil and nuclear energy, we simply match each of these against the criteria, and we find that oil is better than nuclear energy in A, C, E, while nuclear energy is better in the other criteria. However, that is not enough. We also need to rank the criteria according to importance. In other words, we may agree that nuclear energy is cleaner to use than oil, but it is much less safe, and for many people, the safety factor is far more important than the problem of air pollution. Besides, as we saw above, it is possible to provide counter-arguments, such as that technology can make oil cleaner, but it can. But it can never make radioactivity safer. So, at each step of the way, you can consider additional criteria for evaluation. Of course, there is no time to go into a subject as deeply as this in a test essay, and there is no need to, but it is important to be aware of how any kind of analytical thinking will always involve some form of evaluation and comparison. The more carefully and clearly you can identify the criteria by which you judge or evaluate or compare something, the better your thinking and your judgments will be.